Yes.
Get ready to take control of your own financial destiny. It's time to build your dream business. Welcome to the Empowered Entrepreneur.
This just got exciting.
With your host, Spider Graham. Your education starts now.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the broadcast. This is Spider Graham, and this time around, I want to talk about expertise. Actually, more specifically, I want to talk about how to become an expert. Now, it's one of those things you say, well, don't you just have to go out and learn a whole bunch of really important things and then you can be an expert? And to a certain degree, yes, but the other side of this, and this is probably the side that most people don't talk about, is that expertise starts from within. What do I mean by that? Well, in order for you to be an expert on anything in the world, the first step is that you have to declare yourself an expert. See, a lot of us believe that other people are responsible for making us into experts, but that's not the case. We make ourselves into experts. We make ourselves seem to other people to be the person to turn to. So you say, okay, well, I'm really knowledgeable about this topic, therefore, I am an expert on this topic. Now, certainly, being an expert also denotes with it some competency, that you do know a little bit of what you're talking about, but it also really talks about a dedication to learn. Most of us don't want to be an expert on something we don't have a lot of interest in. So instead, we become experts on something that is interesting to us personally, and as a result, our expertise will grow over time. Now, a lot of times when I work with my graduate students, I will say to them, if you want to be an expert, the first thing you have to do is declare yourself an expert. And it confuses them an awful lot because a lot of them come from different cultural backgrounds where that's major hubris. To be able to say to the world, I'm an expert when you're really not an expert, what's that all about? Aren't you lying to people? Well, a lot of it's going to depend on how you approach expertise. And here's how I look at it. If I'm in a situation where I can teach you something about a topic, then chances are that I know more about that topic than you do. So while I may not be the world's foremost authority on the topic, I know more than the person that I'm trying to teach, and therefore in their eyes, and compared up against their knowledge base, I am the expert. If I were to walk out of that situation and say, hey, I'm an expert, and other people are running around going, wait a second, you're not an expert compared to this guy, then I'm probably not as much of an expert. So being an expert is not know-all, it really is a phase of being. Now that said, once again, expertise, like anything else, comes over time. You become fluent with anything that you learn over time. The more articles you read, the more you talk to other people, the more you understand a concept, the more knowledgeable you become. And that's really the goal overall. Let me backtrack a little bit here and kind of explain to you other areas that really have a similar type of emotional mechanics. There's something you run into business. We've always referred to it as the admissions error problem. Some people have also referred to it as the mistaken executive model. And it basically goes like this. You need a job. So you go into a company, you bring them your resume, which may or may not be fully accurate. There might be a little bit of embellishment in there, right? And then you say, hey, I'd really like to do this, and I can work for you, and I can do this for your company. And they say, hey, we'd like you to work for us. We'd like to start you off at a good salary, and you're now the VP of such and such. All right. So the first moment is, yay, I have this fantastic job, and I'm making good money, and hooray for me. And oftentimes that's followed by but I don't know what I'm doing. They just hired a guy who doesn't really know what he's doing to come in and do something. Well, guess what? Do you really want to be 100% qualified for any job that you take on, whether it's for another company or for yourself? Think about it this way. If you could go over and take 6th grade mathematics all over again and this time know exactly what you were doing, how much fun would that be? Well, the answer is probably not so much. Could I ace 6th grade mathematics at this point in my life? Yeah, I'm pretty confident I could. I would also be bored out of my mind, and I have no desire to do that. Well, I think about that in the same way. I do not want to take on a job that I am 100% qualified for, because that means I've had lots and lots of experience doing just that job. And it means that, yes, I could probably do a very competent job, but I'm going to get bored. I'm not going to be challenged. It's not going to be very interesting. So most of us like to be challenged a little bit. We like to have something where we're going to have to struggle. We're going to have to fight our way through certain things in order to get to where we want to be. We don't want to be fully qualified or anything that we do. And so when you take on that new job, and I often say, look, if I was 60% qualified for this job, I'll have to figure out the other 40%. And it makes the job more engaging, more interesting, and yeah, maybe a little more stress inducing, but it's part of the process. So now you find yourself with this job, but you're terrified that somebody else is going to find out you don't know what you're doing. You're going to be sitting in your little corner office one day and someone's going to knock on the door going, bum, bum. Yeah, Bill, listen, we need to talk. Yeah, we just figured out you really don't know what you're doing 100%. So, yeah, you can't have this office. We got a cube out here for you, though, but there's also a demotion coming your way. We're terrified about this thing. Or, we call it the admissions error. Like, I can't believe I got into Harvard. Oh, my God, what happens when they find out I'm not that smart? Well, guess what? You did whatever you needed to do to pass muster. And here's another thing. The average person is not thinking about you. They're thinking about themselves, right? Kind of like how you are. They're thinking about, hope no one else finds out I'm a phony. Because to a certain degree, we're all phony at points in our existence. We're all phony at times when we have to be more than we actually are. And I'm not saying this is dishonest. I'm not saying it's cheating. I'm saying it's very human. Let me give you an example. I had a position several years ago. I was working as a temporary, and I don't know if you've ever worked as a temp, but it's an interesting life experience. I was much younger, and I just moved to a new city and didn't know my way around, but needed a job while I kind of figured out what I was going to do. So you go to a temp agency, and fortunately I have some good typing skills and computer skills and can put these things to good use and make a fairly good hourly wage. Well, I received an assignment to work for this company. And after being there for almost a month, I was on my fourth week, I realized I really liked the corporate culture. I liked the people I was working with. And it was a company that made software. They made billing software, which is so unsexy. But you know what? The people were great. It was a really fun place to work. And I said, well, you know what? I'm really tired of bouncing around. I mean, when you work as a temp, you kind of feel like you're always, working for a few weeks. So someone's on maternity leave or on vacation. And you can do the greatest job in the world, and they'll still say, hey, thank you so much for coming in, but don't let the door hit your butt on the way out. You just have no permanence there. So I said, well, I don't want to be bouncing around from company to company to company. I'd really like to stay in one place. This seems like a good place to stay. So I said, well, how do I get a job at this company? I said, well, first of all, I should figure out what job openings are available. So I walked down to the human resources office, and I knocked on the door, and I said, hi, do you have any jobs that are available that are open right now? And so she gave me a list of the current jobs that they were advertising and listing and trying to fill. So I'm going down through them, and their jobs, I don't even understand what they are. They're, second level, this such and such language programmer, and I'm just shaking my head. And then I come down, and halfway down the list is telecommunications technician. I said, okay. So I said to the woman, what's this position, the telecommunications technician? And she said, oh, that's the person who's responsible and in charge of the company phone system. And I said to myself, well, I know what a phone is. I've used a phone before. Okay, I'll become a telecommunications technician. Okay, now, by the way, I don't know what a telecommunications technician is. 20 seconds ago, I didn't know what it was. Now I'm applying for a job to become one. Hubris? But I have nothing to lose. If I don't do this, I leave at the end of the week. So I go back to my desk. I don't have a resume with me, so I pretty much write one from scratch. I just quickly write up my resume. I think I was doing it on a typewriter just to make things more challenging. And I applied for the job, and it's a Friday afternoon. And I get a call from the HR person saying, hey, the hiring manager would like to talk to you. Do you have time to meet with her this afternoon? I said, absolutely. So I went down and I sat in this woman's office, and she asked me questions about my role in the position. And I wasn't going to lie to her. I wasn't going to say, oh, I have years and years of experience. No, I said, no, you know what? I have a lot of experience with computers. I understand an awful lot about how these things work. I understand technology. I'm not well-versed in this content yet, but I can learn anything I need to, and I can take care of your problem for you. Okay? Now, big cojones? Sure. But once again, nothing to lose. So, long story short, I get a call an hour later. We'd like you to start on Monday. So how about that? So, by the way, terror, absolute terror. So you find yourself going, okay, I just got a job that I'm not qualified to do at all. What the heck am I going to do? So I'm happy I have a job, but I'm a little scared at the same time. So we get through the weekend. I come in Monday morning, give in my office, and there's this huge row of manuals on how the phone system works. It's known as a private branch exchange. It's an internal phone switching box. And every phone in the company goes through this, and so you can go in and control which phones have access to long distance services, which phones can do what, phone numbers, you just assign it. So basically you make the phones happen. Well, I still don't know what I'm doing, so I think, well, start at the beginning, grab a manual, start reading, start learning. I'm probably there for about a half an hour, and my phone rings, and I pick it up, and there's a guy saying, "Hey, are you the new phone guy?" I said, "Yes." He said, "Well, my phone's not working. I was wondering if you might be able to come by and see if you can fix it for me." And I said, "Sure." Once again, I don't know what I'm doing. So I look around, and there's a drawer with tools in it, and I start taking these different tools out and shoving them into my pockets, thinking, okay, hopefully one of these will do. Some of the tools, I don't even know what they do. So I go down to this guy's office, and I say, "So, you're the guy who called?" He goes, "Yeah. My phone's just totally dead. I don't know what it is." So I look under the desk, and it's unplugged from the wall. All right. Now, I'm not a rocket scientist, but I play one on TV. But I didn't want to go in and just say, "Oh, yo, dummy, you unplugged your phone." What I wanted to do is make this guy think I kind of knew what I was doing. So I crawled under his desk, took some tools with me, and, a couple of minutes later, I emerged, and lo and behold, his phone worked perfectly. He's like, "Oh, well, that's great. Thank you so much for coming down." And then he started telling everybody that the new phone guy was really good, which added a heck of a lot more pressure onto my shoulders. So at this point, guess what? You have to develop the expertise. If you're going to walk the walk, you need to talk the talk, right? So I had to learn how to do the programming. I had to learn how to do everything I needed with the phone system, and I was able to do that. I was motivated, I had incentive, and I had the wherewithal to figure it out. But when I got the job, I was pretty much as dumb could be. Yet I kind of declared myself into expertise in that area. Here's the other thing about expertise. When we look externally for other people to validate us, we're sometimes going to wait an awful long time. And I've often thought, what's the difference between someone who is a doctor who has received their doctorate the day before they graduate and the day after they graduate, from a knowledge standpoint? What do you think? Probably next to nothing, right? You were as smart yesterday as you are today, except now you have a piece of paper that says you're legally smart, or the university you graduated from has validated your smartness. The knowledge you bring with you is what's more important than that piece of paper any day of the week. However, that validation oftentimes sells us to us. I'm not a doctor until I receive my doctorate. Once I receive that piece of paper and somebody else is okay, then I can look in the mirror and say, "You are a doctor." Well, if we wait for other people to declare our expertise, especially things they may not know about, we're going to wait an awfully long time. So if we go to the world and say, "I am an expert on X," yeah, first of all, like I said, if you have a passion for the topic, you're going to learn what you need to learn in time. Do you need to know everything day one? Absolutely not. Should you have some knowledge? Probably, if you're going to declare yourself an expert. But then by going through the process of talking with people, of teaching people, of using your expertise to help others, your expertise is going to get richer and richer, and you are, over time, going to become that person. You are going to become that expert. So, yes, feel bold, maybe a little bodacious, go out there and say, "I am an expert on X." And by expert, I mean I know more about it than someone who knows absolutely nothing to start. Over time, I'm going to know more and more and more and more. And by the way, if you work in an industry, as we do in digital advertising and marketing, this stuff is changing every single day. To come out and say, "I am a guru," well, no, you were a guru when you woke up this morning, but the world has changed. New things have happened. There are new approaches to advertising. And for you to stay on top of your expertise, you need to constantly be relearning and forgetting stuff you already learned. That's hard. And then being able to just go through the process of learning all over again. So expertise is in the mind of the beholder, but it has to start with being in your mind. Once you declare yourself into being as an expert, then you can go out there and create the expertise that you need and use it to help you guide your way. Anyway, that's all I have on this topic. Thank you so much for your time and attention. As always, please come by, join us on SpiderGram.com. Look around, free stuff to look at, all sorts of good stuff that you can learn from, but there's also a good conversation taking place with digital advertisers just like you, people who are trying to get ahead, entrepreneurs, people who are trying to figure it out, and who are helping each other to get there. This is Spider Graham. Thanks so much for your time, and I'll talk to you really soon.
For more free resources and advice for entrepreneurs, visit SpiderGram.com and become a subscriber today.